What's going on, guys? Brendan here. Welcome to my 100% walkthrough for the First Berserker Khazan. As mentioned, this will be a complete walkthrough, taking you guys through the entirety of the game, showing you how to do everything that is needed to obtain your Platinum Trophy. So this does include going over builds and showing you guys how to properly put builds together, covering strategies for all your boss fights, but we will also be showing you where to get all of your items, showing you all the secrets, covering all of the NPC quests. If it's in the game, it will be covered in the series. We are going to be playing on PlayStation 5. Before we get started, there are going to be a few things to cover. Since launch, Khazan has received multiple updates changing a lot about the game, and changing big things as well. And this is why we have not done the walkthrough up to this point, as if we were to do a walkthrough at launch, the game would be completely different, and I don't find it to be helpful in that way. New items have been added. They have changed the way certain merchants even work. One of the bigger things is changing the benefits you get from certain weapons and certain armor sets. So this directly affects builds and even your playstyle. But the biggest issue for me was the fact that they actually changed the placement of very important items in the game, which directly affects trophies. So like I said, if we were to do this earlier, things would not have lined up, and I just don't think it would have been so helpful. So with that out of the way, jumping into this series, we are going to show you guys how to get your Platinum Trophy, and this can absolutely be done in a single playthrough. With that being said, this game is extremely difficult. Now, like I said, we're going to show you a lot of really cool things along the way, help you get better at the gameplay. But to obtain your Platinum, you do need to beat the game on Expert difficulty with never using a summon. So I would highly recommend going through your first playthrough on normal, easy, use summons, familiarize yourself with the bosses, the gameplay mechanics, then do a second playthrough for those last few trophies. I do find this to be a much easier way to do things. As I said, it can be quite difficult, and obviously by the end of it, you're going to pick up on the mechanics. However, being able to use a summon might go a long way for you, right? So it is something to keep in mind. Now, typically with our walkthroughs, we do skip through cutscenes, we'll skip through dialogue, and I will give a very detailed breakdown of everything needed to know, so you guys always know exactly what's going on. However, this game is more story focused than most Souls-likes that we cover. So because of that reason, I actually want to show off the cutscenes. At times, we might have to skip through the dialogue, but if we don't have to, if I actually have time to cover it, we will. Like I said, the game's more story focused. I just don't think you're going to get the same experience if we were to do so, and it's not the longest game that we've covered, so I feel like we are able to actually pull this off this time. So without anything else, guys, we are ready to hop on in. We'll show you guys the initial cutscene and take you on through the tutorial and get set up for the walkthrough. So right here, this is actually a change as well. So they've actually added new difficulty options, and they've even changed them. So hardcore is only unlocked in New Game Plus. You don't have to worry about that. However, normal mode was the old easy mode, right? People found that too hard, so they added a easier mode called beginner. So when I say you have to beat on expert difficulty, that is the old normal mode, and that is going to be here. So this isn't super hard. This is the game as it was intended to be played, and this is needed for your Platinum Trophy. However, if you guys are struggling, feel free to do whatever you have to do. Now, I also would like to mention, once you choose a difficulty setting at the start, you can only change it one more time. And you do have to beat the game on normal too. However, once again, we'll back up our save. We'll show you guys how to do this and get it all done in one playthrough. So I'm going to cover how to, get a platinum in one run. I just think that it may be difficult for your first time with the game. So that's why we recommended what we did. But whatever you're comfortable with, guys, that's what you should do.
So this is how a hero ends up.
You think he's a traitor?
So that is your intro. So let the cutscene finish plays out. We'll cover a few things. Just kind of let everyone know where we are with the story. Khazan was a general known as a war hero. However, he was set up and portrayed as a criminal. This is what they've done. They've severed the tendons in his arm. They're bringing him out to the wild. And just, I guess, really just leaving him out there. You know, a slow death, the worst death. And then, you know, this is where our story picks up. So obviously, your boy's gonna want some vengeance. And I guess the story is pretty simple that way. When the reviews came out for the game, that's what everyone said, like, oh, gameplay's awesome, game's great, but the story's pretty simple. I found the story really good and much deeper than I think other people picked up on, because there's so much more going on than just a vengeance tale. So I think you guys will, you know, come to notice that in your own time. And for the time being, we're really just going to be working our way on over to your bonfire, which is your Blade Nexus. This is where you level up, fast travel. Most of you know the drill. Anyone new, you know, we will obviously cover this. Now, the person talking to is a spirit that has took over your body. This is why you're able to use your arms again. You're being possessed by a very, very powerful entity. And it's actually multiple spirits. So this will give you certain abilities as you go through the game, and it has a huge, huge story, story aspects with this as well.
Surrender to us now. You hear us. Join us. Or get out. No. Stop.
Alright, so here in a second, you're going to get a cutscene that's really just like Khazan puking blood. So we don't really need to see that. If you guys want to sit through it, you can. Being our first episode, we are going to have quite a bit to cover. I do want to show the important stuff, and that's what I'm saying. Like, major NPCs will go over their dialogue. We'll show the cutscenes that matter. Stuff like that we are going to be skipping over, as it's just going to take time away. So if you skip through, you just kind of get loaded in right here. Make sure that you turn around and go to your Blade Nexus. So firstly, I understand a lot of people play Souls-likes. That's what we do. But I do want to mention this game is very much a Souls-like, and it's very much an action game at times, too. It's almost like a healthy blend of both. So you do have that defensive playstyle, but you also have that aggressive playstyle, and it's a really, really cool blend of both of those. So with that, I'm sure a lot of people are coming over that have not played Souls-likes before, so I do want to run you guys through the basics. And there's definitely some things that are different than what you're used to as well. So going over your stats, vitality, health, endurance, stamina. We know this. So with that being said, typically in these games, you're going to bring vitality way up, and endurance, you get to 25, 30, that's all you need. It's going to be a three-way split, so there's not crazy builds in this game. There's 3 weapon types, 3 stats pertaining to those weapons. Strength for great swords, willpower for dual wield, proficiency for spear. So with that being said, in-game, you'll have about 60 in your damage stat, 60 in endurance, and 60 vitality. So you want to go 60, 60, 60. It just works different. There's going to be skills, crazy combos. The bosses in this game have more health than I've ever seen bosses have. It's crazy. They're long fights. Because of that, you do want a lot of stamina. So that is, one thing that's going to be a little bit different. In addition to this, you do need to worry about your agility. So agility is your weight. You're not going to fat roll, but it does have a pretty big cost on your stamina. You don't want to drop below B. So vitality gives you like 0.4% to more weight that you can carry as you level this up. However, it's not going to be enough for all of your sets, so you might have to put some levels into strength as well, depending on your build. Not everybody needs to, but it's something to keep in mind, because strength will also govern how much weight that you can carry. So going over play styles, usually I would recommend a build. I will tell you guys what I find more friendly for a newer player, but we're not going to recommend a build. There's 3 weapon types, and I think this is more about preference and playstyle. It's not like there's magic and faith. No, it's just weapon types. So because of that, I'm not going to recommend a build. So with that being said, I want to let you guys know how builds work a bit. So strength is your great sword. I like this for a newer player because it's very simplistic. Every build has skills. Every build is capable of monstrous damage with the right setup and the right gear. With that being said, I like strength because, yes, it does a lot of damage. Usually strength builds are really slow and sluggish, and yes, the light attacks might be, but with certain skills, you could lay off crazy combos with I'm sorry, with the greatsword, with the strength build. So I find this really friendly for a newer player because it does have that more simplistic moveset, but strength is going to focus on big, beefy damage, right? Now, jumping down to proficiency, this is for your spear build. So while this focuses on big damage, this is more about stamina damage. So with stamina damage, you're going to break the enemy stagger. You're going to be able to get more critical hits. But another good thing you could do is break their stance, and instead of doing a critical, lay on crazy fucking combos, and that's where, you know, the true damage comes from. I like proficiency, but willpower and proficiency are not as simplistic as strength. There's crazy combos, a lot of stuff that you can string together, and there are guides right in the game. There are combo guides that can show you, and obviously the more time you spend with it, you know, the more you're going to make sense of it. But I do like proficiency, even with that, for a newer player because of the in and out play style. There's moves where you can kind of jump in, hit the enemy, jump out, and you also have movesets that get you behind the enemy to create a lot of damage. Plus, with all the stamina damage you're going to be doing, you are going to be able to constantly, you know, break their stagger if you are leveling right and, you know, you're using the right things to your advantage. So high damage, high stamina damage. Willpower is a bit of both. One of the more complicated builds, but this thing shines in game for the right, you know, right loadout. I will show you guys how to properly put all things together, no matter what you want to go with. You know, the best weapons, the best armor pieces, because armor gives crazy benefits in this game. So with that being said, I like willpower a lot. These are the weapons that you start with. After the next episode, you will all have every weapon, and you can choose whatever you would like to do. But I would urge you guys to experiment. My first playthrough, I literally sat and went respec skills on all 3 weapons for like 5 hours. I could not pick. They're all so good. I feel like it's actually a hard choice to make. So for the walkthrough, I'm just going to go with willpower. I've done a spear build. I've done a greatsword. I have not actually done a full playthrough with duel just yet, so something I would like to do. However, every build is very powerful, guys. It's more about preference. They all have their own strengths. I wouldn't say they have their own weaknesses, but they're all good at different things, right? So as mentioned, it's very much a Souls-like, very much plays like an action game as well. So you have defenses, you know, you can brink guard is what perfect deflection is called, but you can also block. Blocking takes a bunch of stamina damage, so you do want to try to deflect at the last second. And you also have dodging, but it's not just dodging. You have brink dodge. So essentially, if you can dodge at the very last second, that next hit that comes out is going to get increased damage. Plus, brink dodge, brink guard, you're not really losing stamina as you typically would. Now, settings, very briefly. For people that do play a lot of Souls-likes, you can go on down to controller configuration. Game starts in type A, that's light attacks on square, heavy attacks on triangle. Type B does switch that to R1 light, R2 heavy, so if you guys are more accustomed to that. I found it pretty damn nice. And for anyone that's on a first-time playthrough, there's one thing that could really help out. There are grab attacks in this game, cannot be blocked, cannot be deflected. However, the only time you know that one is even going to happen, because they're hard to read, is by a sound effect. So right here, grab attack visual effects on. This is going to show a little yellow emblem, allowing you to know when a grab attack is coming, so you know to dodge. Because for me, I heard the sound, but it wasn't clicking, and I kept getting caught by it, because it's hard to tell if it's a grab or if it's something else, depending on what you're up against. So aside from that, guys, just briefly go over it. Like I said, R1 light, you know, heavy, you do have charged heavy. You have your dodge, you have deflect. That's your bread and butter. You are mixing being very aggressive with dodging and brink dodging. Just, you know, there's a rhythm to it, you know, and it's really important that you find that. That's when you get really, really powerful. Then, you know, the abilities will come as well, but the main gist is attack, dodge, deflect, and just find that rhythm. You know, it's like a dance that way. Now, I would spend time with the tutorial area, get very comfortable with the game. Walk through, we're covering all the secrets and items and getting you past the bosses with strategies, getting all of your trophies. Can't teach you how to play it. I can, you know, recommend things and tell you things that are going to help out and show you a lot of cool things. But that being said, you do need to try to get comfortable with things in your own time. So I'll leave that up for a second. However, you know, this is something that you guys are going to want to, you know, practice with. So like I said, even if it's a Souls-like, I can sit here and come in. I can be aggressive all day long, depending on who I'm fighting. You know, depending on who we're fighting. So escort order. So to briefly talk about this, we'll talk about this more in episode 3, I do believe. However, collectibles in this game. We don't need all collectibles for a trophy. Certain ones, yes. But more importantly, if you get every collectible and region that you do, you get something called Vengeance Point, which is another upgrade path to upgrade the amount of damage you do. So I really, really recommend it. And obviously, if you guys do want to check out the lore, you can read it. This is just talking about the guys after Khazan. You know, they were trying to bring him here for punishment. The cart crashed, he got away. So if you were to read this, Caution, beware of avalanches and ensure all preparations are made for the extreme cold. The attendants in the prisoner's arms have been severed as punishment, but he remains highly dangerous. Approach with extreme caution. No medical aid is to be provided to the prisoner under any circumstances. Show no mercy. So like I said, just a little bit more lore, a little bit more backstory if you guys want to take that in. I think the cutscenes, what I'll break down to you guys, will explain enough, but I do want you guys to enjoy the game. You know, don't feel like you have to skip through something or not look at something just because I'm not. So as we go on up, we're going to have this gentleman right here. And we're going to take him out, but we don't want to take the left path just yet. Reason for this is we want to go to the right. That way we can go ahead and get you guys your first ring and, you know, get everything clear. We got to do all optional content if you want to platinum this game. Not to mention this time we're going to get good items and get high level. So this is your first Yeti. He's going to come down with the graphics, get ready to dodge, free dodge, whatever you want to do. Then we're just mixing deflections. I think he's pretty telegraphed. Once again, if you haven't played the game yet, you know, you're going to have to just get comfortable with everything, how it works. So there's going to be your windows, there's going to be his windows, dodge, deflect, doesn't really matter. Now, anytime an enemy does a big attack like that, usually they're pretty open right after. See, his hands like kind of stuck, so he's pretty open. Hey, bud, it was not nice. Now, they do have a bar under their health, purple. That's their fortitude gauge. This is essentially their stamina. Now, you notice there's a timer, so beat on them, get critical last second. That's how you get off big damage. Sometimes if you just go right for that critical, you're missing a really solid opportunity to really, you know, really put some damage on them. With that being said, if you don't have the stamina to attack, criticals restore all of your stamina. So sometimes you don't really have a choice. Alright, Hunter's Ring, Gem Dust. So, as we go through the series, the first time we find a consumable, I'll let you guys know what it is. We're not going to talk about the same thing over and over, as it's not going to be fair to those who follow along. And I do recommend you follow along, as this is a platinum walkthrough. Miss one episode, probably going to miss something important, especially with this game. So with that being said, Gem Dust is a sellable item to merchants. That's all it really is. You're going to have your Lacrima, which is your souls, which you do certain things with that as currency. However, you also have gold, where you can buy weapons sometimes, or, you know, buy pieces of gear. Also talking about gear, you've picked up the Hound set, so there are set pieces in this game. So what this means is the more pieces I have on for a particular set, the more benefits I'm going to get. There's regular armor too, you don't even want to waste your time with it. So if you read 2 pieces, I get a damage increase of 5%. 3 pieces, I get that damage increase plus stamina regen. 4, you know, damage against beasts, extra 10%. 5, potent blow damage increase. So that's how it works. So when you go through, you do want to, you know, make sure you have on the best set. Plus, you have to worry about quality and level. So if you notice our quality is uncommon, it can go up to rare or legendary, you know, depending. Then you see level 2. So this is something you're really trying to watch out for this game. I mean, build maintenance is a big part of this thing, you know, going through the game. You're always maintaining and maintaining your build. Anytime we do an area, we're going back, we're selling shit we don't need, breaking equipment down for upgrade materials, for crafting materials, for armor. So it's really big, and we'll cover it more, but I do want you guys to, you know, get in the habit of checking everything out. You know, it all adds benefits. So either way, guys, once we drop down from there, that just brings you pretty much full circle. That's going to put you right back where we initially started from. Then we can go ahead and, you know, start our path again. However, now that we have that done, this time we're going to go on over to the left-hand side. Come on, buddy. Is that it? Stop it. Thank you. Yeah, gotta get that stamina up, guys. Gotta get that stamina up. Alright, so up ahead from this point, that's going over brink dodges. We're gonna have this guy, but there's also an archer, so I like to try to bring him behind the rock if I can. Hopefully, get him dispatched before the other guy gets involved. Stop it. As you see, critical gets us all of our stuff back. All of our stamina back. Our stuff. Y'all know what I meant. Y'all know what the hell I meant. Alright, so we'll go ahead and take him on out. Make sure you don't have any drops. So up ahead, we're going to go over backstabs, and we're going to go over drop attacks. So brutal attacks in this game, you can't just like run up like Elden Ring. The enemy alerts you at all, you will not get it off, even if they're, you know, facing the other way. You have to sneak the entirety of the time. So you're going to get that off with square. That part's a little bit different, but I think you get used to it. Then break fall midair, R1 or R2, doesn't really matter. So with that, you have reached Mount Hymic, your first location. So this whole location is essentially your tutorial area, you know, the whole region of Mount Hymic, which will be covered, you know, this episode if we, you know, make good time. So right here, this is a guy with a shield, so they work a little different. So if you try to attack them with a lot of attacks, really nothing gets through, and the game tells you, hey, use your potent blow to break their stagger, and that's the way you beat them. There's actually 3 ways to beat them. So you could do that. I can go over here, well, if I line it up, I can go over here with heavy attacks, and that does help get through his shield, but I could also wait for him to attack, dodge, get behind, or I can wait for him to attack. If he does deflect, then, you know, he's open. So dodge, deflect, or heavy attack. So there's a few times like that where there's just stuff the game's not really telling you, right? It's just things you pick up on your own. Either way, now he's down. We're gonna go pick up your mana lantern. It's kind of an odd name, just a lantern. So you guys can put that on for now. And also hotkey items. So what hotkey is, if I want to equip things, I don't have to keep going back and forth. I could go here, hit R1, and that's all my slots right there. All 6 slots. That's pretty nice. 6, right? Yeah. Right here, fire enhancer. That's a weapon buff. I wouldn't use those. We're eventually going to be able to craft all we want from the blacksmith. Not for quite a while. So, because of that, boss fights only, for the most part, make sure you have them. Now, there's something else we need to talk about. Like I said, you do need all collectibles. These are called soul tears. The last living memory of a dead person. I just call them memories typically because that's what they are. So with that being said, these count as collectibles. You got to have all of them. Anytime you interact, you will get what's called soul tear dust. So it gives you a little bit of health. It's consumable, but it also gives you some lacrima, so you can get levels from it. Deeper you're in the game, they'll go from like soul tear dust to like soul tear tearstone shards, which are just worth more lacrima, right? Lacrima's gonna be your souls. So, you know, things you'll pick up on in time. However, just know that we need to interact with every single one to get all of our collectibles. So from this point, we'll get on over to your next bonfire nexus, blade nexus, sorry. Now early on, don't even worry about damage. The thing of it is as your level naturally goes up, you get more damage anyways. I wouldn't even touch damage until you're like 30-30 on your stats. Hell, most of the time I'll go like 40-40 on health and stamina. It doesn't really bother me. But you could also kind of bring up everything evenly and you're okay too. I would at the very least get to like 25-25 health and stamina, then you could bring up a little bit in damage at a time. And I'll show you as we go through and recommend how to properly put your build together, because it is a bit different, if I'm being honest. It really is. So over here on the left hand side, we should be able to just go ahead and attack him. Concentrated fire essence is a consumable you can throw out for fire damage. If we can just hurry up, watch out for your archer. There we go. Work those dodges, work those deflections. Thank you. There's another memory right here.
I can't die. I need to see my daughter.
Alright, so it's pretty much telling you, hey, heavy attacks aren't enough. You gotta use charged heavies to break certain enemy stances. And I'm gonna fight this guy with nothing but light attacks to show you, once again, there's things that the game's just not telling you. Oh, hold on. So what it really is trying to say is you gotta stay on enemies, working deflections, attacks, and just kind of mix it all up together to stay on their stamina, because it will refill quickly. That's what the game's really trying to tell you. Like I said, sometimes it's kind of a poor job of that. It makes you think, oh shit, if I don't use a charge heavy, I'm fucked. And that's just not the case. I gotta work on my dodges with this guy. Usually I always deflect him. That's testing my luck. Something I'm really used to is timing. This game too, it's got like some of the best sound effects ever. I love it. Alright, so over here on the left hand side, you don't get much for it, but you can kill these guys with like 11 souls, 16, something like that. You don't really need to. Hey, thank you. So over here is going to be your next chest. Now, this is going to get you a better item than what you already have. So this is, you know, levels again. Levels in quality, right? More gem dust to sell, hound pants, so, you know, get more piece of that set. Rare hat. I had my gliders. I'm like, what the fuck? I don't remember that. We'll get this whole set by next episode we'll be missing like the chest piece, but we'll get a lot of a lot of benefits here. But looking at your weapons, level 1, level 4, 60, 66. Now there's 6 points in damage because it's just higher level. Then sometimes you have stuff that's lower level that does more damage because it's higher quality, right? So this is something to always consider. Right here, a little bit of lore if you guys want to check that out. More importantly, it is a collectible. It actually is kind of talking about how the soldiers don't really believe Khazan, is what they say. And you can tell they don't really want to do what they're doing, right? But they do have to follow orders. And you do pick up on that a little bit. Some tier is really dope. So typically in these games, you die, you have to run back for your souls. That's a consumable. You can pop and just get them back. You don't even have to run back, so it's really cool. Over here's a soul stone. Sorry. Soul stone. We have to get that from another route. Now, those don't come to play until about episode 5. However, we can't miss any. We got to have them all. Usually, you can line up both of these. So almost one shot if you get a charge heavy off in time. It helps out. Now, right when you see these guys, you can drop down here to the right-hand side. There's your soul stone. Now, right now, I think it's called a energy emitting ore because you don't learn. Yeah, mysterious energy emitting ore. Because you don't actually learn what it is yet. You know what I mean? Oh, wrong way. We have to drop. Or hit the circle. Yeah, you don't learn what it is yet until an NPC named Defrona tells you. Once again, this is, going to come in a bit. So from here, we're just going to run straight on through. Pick that up. A few guys here, no archer this time. I couldn't tell if he's opened or not. Alright, we don't need the 2-on-1 guys. There we go. There we go. Thank you. Yeah, it gets a little annoying early on. Eventually we're going to get skills. Not even that far away. Like I said, episode 3... somewhere around there. Maybe even next episode we'll pick up a few. But we're going to start getting skills that make situations like that much easier. Much, much, much easier. And typically with more linear games, we try to go for like 30 minutes because, it just makes sense. However, we're going to push a little bit further because it doesn't take much longer to wrap up the chapter. So with that being said, where are we at? Okay, 14 health. So I like to go by like 5-5. I'll typically bring up health and stamina together. So very, very much recommend you guys do so you don't have, a really hard time. Thank you. Definitely went the wrong way. I was like, what the fuck? That don't look right. So you're actually going to go up this way. Now you're going to hear a bunch of roaring and clamoring around. That is your next boss. First boss, Yetuga. So we'll get to him shortly. So when you go outside here, you notice the ground's kind of cracked. Shit starts to drop. So if I'm not careful, that will kill me. We could use that to our advantage though too. I'll show you. So when you're dealing with these apes, the best thing to do is just dodge light attack. It one-shots them every time. They hop around a lot. They're hard to catch. So that's the best way to handle it. So if you notice, boom, dead. Otherwise, it took me like 3 times to fight him. So what I like to do here is just kind of step on that, then back off. He's got a little cross. He's dead. You know what I mean? So there's things we could do to use these traps to our advantage, as always, in these types of games. All right, then we're gonna work our way on down. Get a drop attack there. Turn around, or it's the next one. Yeah. Try to catch him in the air. Look to the right. Drop. See, that's what I'm saying. It just takes a little bit more to put these fuckers down. Thank you. Drop. 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 Now, as soon as you get down here, you're going to see a Yeti, and it may distract you. So what's really important is that you turn around. You can easily miss a soul stone, and then you're going to be like, where the hell is it? Right? You won't be able to find it. Now, I like to take him out, but we do need to go to the left side first. But just so on the way back up, we don't have to deal with him. Remember, we're trying to work that fortitude gauge, guys. As soon as we get up our crit, we're going to be in much better shape. So we can stack up hits, but if you're low on stamina, you try to deflect, you might miss. Now, last hit is a double, so keep that in mind. Right on the old new one. Because big hits like that do decent stagger, and almost like staggers him back a little bit. Now when he drops, good opportunity for that charged heavy. Even if it doesn't finish him off, he'll pretty much fill up that that fortitude gauge, right? So like I said, we do want to go to the left-hand side first. Be cautious. We have archers. We have a few guys going on here. So water cleanse, which we won't even need for a long time. Just happen to find it here. Thank you. Thank you. Alright, now, as soon as we take these guys out, you're going to fight an enemy that's definitely tougher than anyone you fought up to this point. Same thing, just work those deflections, work those dodges. Sometimes you can get to them quick enough to try to push them off the ledge there. It's harder than you may seem. Now we're too far away, so you gotta fight them the old-fashioned way. But sometimes I've been able to just kind of beat on them and take them off that ledge. See what I'm saying about this game where enemies just have more health than you've seen? That's how it works. It's not because we're under level, that's just how it is, you know? And that's just, like I said, everything's like a really long fight. You're fighting bosses, you're fighting elite enemies, and that, you know, adds to the challenge. But that's why you get those crazy abilities, and, you know, you're getting your skill tree, better weapons and elements, and, you know, but that's why I said the game's difficult, because they make you get really good. Like, you have to be, and you will, you'll get very skillful with it. But you gotta be, because these fights are gonna be really long. They're always testing your deflection times, your dodge time, it's what combos where, how to, you know, deal with the enemy attacks, things of that nature. Either way, now that we have that, all the way back here's a memory that's actually gonna be related to a quest much later. That's Scout Benji. He dies. We meet his brother. I think in episode 10 or 11, as far as my notes are concerned. So we'll get back to that later. Now there's gonna be a few monkeys here. Yeah, as I said, dodge and try to one shot. There should be another. Yep. Wait till he lands. Dodge, one shot. Dodge, one shot. Best way to deal with them. Best way to deal with them. It's actually pretty rough. Usually I don't use any heals. Like now, every bonfire, I'm using all my heals. Alright, let's see if we get to that 15 health. Stamina is, I mean, it's always a problem, but at least early on, get as much health as we can for the boss is going to make the most sense. Alright guys, so from here, there's a guy with a shield and there's also Archer. So I like to try to pull him back if I can. So if you could deflect, usually you could counter, but it's probably better to try to dodge. That way we can get him opened up for us. You can deflect arrows if you could actually time it right, like that. So I like the dual. So it's like a mix of both. We're getting damage, but we're also getting a lot of stamina damage. If you notice, we're like constantly breaking enemy stances. It's really cool. So when you go on down, you're going to see this guy, he needs help. So what we're going to do, we got to help him. You know, just help him real quick, give him some help. Then we're going to go on over here to the right-hand side. So this is a cave with the first room bear. No, your first bear. Bears are not tough, but you haven't fought nothing like them just yet. Typically, you can get a free brutal attack, and then just kind of tie him down. He'll move into that corner in front of him. Then we could just really get a good start on him. You see how it throws him forward? Now, I can come over here and kind of like stun lock him. Just keep beating on him, beating on him, beating on him. At least for a bit. I think it's not a bad thing to do. It's going to help out. But you do want to learn his moveset. So he's got a lot of swipes. He's got claws. He has a side roll that's kind of weird. But mainly, it's very, very telegraphed attacks. Watch that stamina. Be mindful of it. Side roll. Yep, that's what I say. It's really weird, that side roll, as far as timings and how to read it. Yep, that's the grab attack. That's what I said. Turn that setting on. It's going to make life much easier. So that is part of your hound set. So now with 3 pieces, stamina recovery rate, another 20% to that, 5% damage boost. And then we got the Hound Gators. Now against Beast, we're getting 10%, but we're not going to get the chest piece until next episode. But this is just, you know, first starting, so it's not bad. We could put this on just to get more defense, but that is obviously, you know, it needs to get switched out before it's much longer. And right in this chest, you're going to get a necklace, which gives you another 10 points of damage per hit against Beast. And that's the other thing with this game, too. They're actually giving you everything you need. I mean, it's a tutorial area. You think it's just like random shit. It doesn't really look good. But if you were to really pay attention, our first boss is a Yeti. He's a beast. So I'm going over here. You know, we got the necklace of commitment against Beast. We get 10 points of extra damage, you know, per hit. So that's going to stack up. Then with our set against Beast, another 10% here, plus another 5% regular damage increase. Damage. So then this is what I'm saying. They are giving you everything you need to get past the tutorial boss. Even for Yetuga being a tutorial boss, people did struggle with him. You know, he's not a pushover just because he's a tutorial boss. You got to beat him. It's not like, you know, a typical game where, oh, you die, fight him later. No, you got to beat him. So when I get here, I don't rush down. Wait till the Yeti attacks. Then we're going to go over here to the right. Because if not, all the guys are going to be trained on you, especially the archer. So he attacks first. That's where their attention goes. Notes to Yetis. Just talking about the scouts finding, you know, abundance of Yetis in this area. And you have to move your lock-on around if you're trying to line up critical and clerk enemies. Like, a group of them, you can't just run up and hit square. You got to be locked onto the right one. Has caught me off guard a few times. Buddy. Oh, did he finish off the Yeti? I'm like, dude, where's he at? He's supposed to be attacking me by now, bro. I'll take it. Alright, so as you progress from here, stick to the far right-hand side. That's talking about shortcuts. I made the mistake of dropping to the left my first playthrough. I had to run all the way back around again. Now, this should get us on up to our 15 health mark. Once again, oh, we were at 15, so we start working our endurance. Once again, you know, it's going to help with the boss. Make sure you're situated for the boss and we're good. So we're going to get a quest item here pertaining to that memory, Benji. That's going to come much later. So get into this boss fight. If you guys want, we can put on our fire enhancer. Buffs in this game don't really matter. If you cannot get past the boss, getting more damage isn't going to help because the fights are very long. We talked about this before. So you got to learn the moveset. For the most part, the boss is doing what the other Yetis did. You know, left, right, we're deflecting. But he's got other stuff going too. He's got a frostbite breath. If he does that, you're going to run around to the left-hand side to get behind him. However, if you are attacking from behind, you can just jump back and lay in his back real quick, which you could deflect. But frostbite breath is a good time to get an opportunity for damage. He also can pull a boulder out of the ground. When he pulls it up, if you're close, it'll hit you. But more importantly, he's going to jump way into the air. When you see his right knee twitch, that means he's about to slam down. That's your time to dodge or, you know, get out of the way of that. He has a quick grab attack that'll come out. And like I said, most of it, aside from that, is what you've seen before. He can also throw a snowball, which you just quickly deflect. And then sometimes he slams his arms down. It looks like he's trying to replace himself. This can actually hit you. So I think, you know, that's pretty much all you're going to see. There may be other smaller movesets, but that's the stuff you want to watch out for. And one really cool thing about Khazan is you can refight bosses as much as you want. Bosses have boss sets, meaning special armor. They're usually very unique to one build or another. So I'll let you guys know who you should farm for what. Because we'll be able to craft armor, but like the really good armors don't come for a long time. So the only way to get them is to farm the boss that has the set that you want. So like, he drops a really good start set for a spear build. Once we get to the actual hub area, you will be able to come back and, you know, fight him if you want to. So just work those deflections. He's a little different in his appearance, and his timing's a little different, but it's mainly the same as far as, you know, his moves. Thank you. Big up swipe. Get out of the way. So we get a little bit extra damage for fire. Some enemies are like really weak to it, or you're just applying fire and really fucking him up. And you figure he is because he's like a frost guy. It does give you a little bit extra damage, but like I said, it's not like super fucking crazy. So if it does that, good opportunity to get behind him. I told you that down swipe. A little fucking grab attack. Thank you. Oh no, he's not too bad. Now remember, don't just go straight for the critical, because look at all this damage we're getting off. Almost 2 whole combos we got there. I could have even done a little bit more if I had, you know, extra damage. Alright, so here you go. So watch his right knee. He goes up. See that twitch? Cool. Puts him right out of the way. Frostbite. Yep. So run to the left-hand side, guys. Very important. Gotta jump back in. No. Okay. Usually does like a just like jumps back and slams down. That's okay. We actually did apply a little bit of burn to him as well. I saw his health kind of taken away. It didn't last long, but you know, it all adds up. Buddy, you're dead. Hey, you're dead, buddy. Thank you. So you notice Frozen Mountain Gators or whatever else you got to that set. And you see Frozen Mountains Ruler Horn. Now the other thing, when you're able to craft boss sets, you'll get the recipe, but you need special materials. So every boss has a special material, like he drops horns. So you'd need like 6, because there's like 6 pieces to every set. So when you farm up the bosses, if you have the recipe, as long as you get 6 of those items, you can craft it at your current level and at a good quality. However, early on, you know, you can still get it, still get the benefits. It just wouldn't have as much defense. It may not have, you know, as much special properties, you know, things of that nature, but still. So we will let this cutscene play on out. This episode's a little bit longer than usual. Like I said, a lot to do.
I was helpless. I was lucky it was the Bantu who found me.
Are we awake, sir? You have a ghost possessing you. Apologies, but to conquer it, you must undergo the trials of the Snow Mountain. You must be careful. The ghost possessing you is a powerful one. It will be very dangerous to purge yourself of it.
Your body. We must have it.
All right. So once we go up this ladder, you're going to get to your next Blade Nexus. That's where we're going to stop. Going over her dialogue, she's going to tell you about the 3 trials of the Bantu gods. Now, how this works is every trial is going to automatically equip you with one of the 3 weapon types. You need to kill a bunch of enemies or a few tougher enemies with this weapon. After the trial, you get that weapon. So that's what's going to unlock that weapon. And then, you know, that's what we're getting into next episode. So she does give you a little bit of dialogue about it. He asks why she's helping her, and she pretty much says, you know, even though you worked for our enemies, the army he was a general of, he still saved her and everybody by killing the Berserker Dragon. And this is just a lot of lore you'll learn as you go through the game. And, you know, like I said, if you guys want to take in the dialogue, you can. This is an instance where we just, you know, we're 45 minutes in, so I just don't have time. Just make sure you exhaust all of it all. Just going to talk about getting rid of the ghosts, the trials, and then why she decided to help them. Now, once we have that, we can head on up. At least Khazan can climb a ladder quickly. That's something I appreciate in this game. Do you know what I mean?
To get rid of us. Why would you want that? You think this will work? Go ahead. Try it.
And there you go. We have reached Storm Pass. So, like I said, I really consider all of this your tutorial area because you haven't got your other weapon types yet. But I guess Hymak was, you know, your true tutorial area. Yetuga, your true tutorial boss. But like I said, I consider this part of the tutorial area too. This leads to the fight, the showdown with Blade Phantom, and I think that's like the real test, the real, you know, tutorial boss. So like I said, next episode we'll be getting you guys your weapon types, your skill trees, and a couple of really cool things to get us really set up for the journey, if you will. But either way, guys, before we close on out, we'll go ahead and get a level. I don't like to do anything off camera, so if we have a level, we'll go ahead and get it. Now, if we decide to farm up for a boss set, yeah, we'll do it off camera. That'll probably be boring to fight the same guy over and over, but I think you guys understand my meaning. Alright, guys, so with that, that does conclude the first episode of our Platinum walkthrough for Khazan the First Berserker. So as always, I do appreciate you guys choosing my channel for the walkthrough, and we will catch you back here shortly.